Games, Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, and we're doing a track-by-track for Iron Maiden's Powerslave album, the 5th studio album by the English heavy metal band Iron Maiden, released on the 3rd of September 1984. To put this into context, I wasn't even a month old when this album was released.
I was 3 at the time Iron Maiden were releasing their 5th album.
Fucking hell. It was released through EMI Records in Europe and its sister label Capitol Records in North America. It was re-released by Sanctuary and Columbia Records in the US in 2002. The album overall has a lot of tracks I'm familiar with. Like, some of them are the big hitters.
Yeah.
But Maiden albums, I mean, we've talked a lot on these videos in the past. Neither of us are Maiden fans. In the general consensus way.
We're Maiden greatest hits fans rather than album trackers, you know.
Which makes listening to a full Maiden album sometimes a bit daunting, to be honest.
Yeah, it can be a bit daunting, but also quite interesting because I got to hear songs that I wasn't as familiar with, and actually in 1 or 2 cases, songs I don't think I'd remember ever hearing.
Yep, same. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nice.
And it's not a long one, of course. I mean, there are long songs on it, but they're not like, you're not talking 15 tracks long here. And we kick off with Asus High, which is obviously a Maiden special.
Yeah.
And it's a strong start for me. One of my favourite of theirs, the energetic burst of the initial guitar drum intro, it's so very Maiden. Like, if you know what Maiden sound like, it's because of stuff like this. Yeah. You go back and you're like, oh, of course, that's how it sounds. Dickinson is excellent as always. This track exudes energy, and the chorus is such a sing-along, man.
Yeah, yeah, as I said, like, very well-known song, like you said. I've always liked it. Always sounds. I think it still sounds good. That's the thing. Great to listen to an album that is like, well, so fucking old.
Yeah,
over 30 years old, and it still sounds great. Or at least this song does. I love the intro guitars. I love the guitars pretty much fucking predominantly throughout a whole lot of the
There's
album,
very little
playing
on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you like traditional styled heavy metal,
galloping riffs,
loads of fucking harmonies and lead kind of screaming solos. It's hard not to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So yeah, very good song. Very, very good.
2 Minutes to Midnight. Obviously one of Maiden's biggest hitters, but this is up there as one of my least favourite of their big hitters. Although, importantly, it's like, I don't love this in comparison to, say, some of the other massive Maiden songs they've got. But that's not saying much because it's still a fucking banger. Trademark galloping riffs, effective peaks and valleys. It's still a great song. It's just one of those I'm like, I don't really love this one. Yeah,
no, same for me, actually. I know it very well. But it never has and still doesn't really listen to it have much magic for me. You know, I like some of the guitars, but I think that's just the thing. It's guitars, man. And the guitars are great. Some of the riffs are great, some of the leads are great. But I don't know, I just felt like it lacked something. You know, I always have, and I still did re-listen to it. Like, you know, it still didn't click.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Loss for Words, Big Aura. For me, we're in uncharted territory here. This is a track I am not familiar with at all. It's an instrumental with some strong riffs, greasy bass lines. I like it. However, I started to find it self-indulgent.
I liked a bit of self-indulgence.
Okay.
Interestingly, this is the last instrumental they've done to date.
Wow. Really?
Assuming the fucking Wikipedia's up to date.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I read it on there. This is the last album to feature an instrumental, so up to current day. First thing I wrote, and I genuinely mean it, is I don't like the name.
Yeah, the name's a bit dumb, isn't it?
Well, it's kind of Lost for Words.
Is that what it's supposed to be? Lost for Words?
Lost for Words. No words. Instrumental. I don't know the big R of it, but Lost for Words. I think that's,
what's the bracketed part? The big.
I have no idea what that big aura bit is.
Because it's aura with the high, the whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Thing.
But yeah. So I mean, but aside from the name, I love this song.
Really.
I really enjoyed it, and I loved it because it was self-indulgent. It's just a fucking huge guitar fest, man. Guitars and drums blazing off all over the place. Yeah, I loved it.
Can't argue with that. Flash of the Blade. Again, uncharted territory for me. I don't know this one at all, but I like the riffing and Dickinson going from slightly growling vocals because you're so used to Bruce Dickinson going, woo, you know, super fucking high, that when he was, oh, he's getting a bit mean there. I like this. But obviously, as well, from that to, you know, glass shattering fucking highs. Yeah, I really like this one.
Yeah, so did I. Really, really liked it. Love the melody in the intro again. Like the chunky riff. And again, pointed out the kind of more restrained, deeper vocal style. Which was great. Really nice to listen to. Great chorus. Loads of harmonised backing vocals in it as well, which was quite nice to hear. Yeah, just a great song. Really big fan. I mean, the solo's fucking amazing in this one. Actually, it's the best solo so far on the album. It's got the kind of. I'm a big fan of harmonised lead guitars anyway.
Yeah.
And this song just smashes it. So yeah, Flash of the Blade. It's a banger.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the more surprising. Oh, I never knew this one before, but now I'm a fan. The Duelists. I don't really care for this one. At times I was like, shit, this is entering power metal territories. But to me, it lacks a killer hook. And I think, right, this is a weird complaint, too reliant on the vocals. Like, there were so many times that I'm like, Bruce, let's hear something else. Maybe that's why, because there's no killer hook. So, yeah.
Yeah, I started off just saying that, like, again, I love the intro, and that basically Iron Maiden are smashing the intro riffs in this album. Absolutely loved every intro so far, even on the songs I don't like. I love that kind of stampeding, kind of force, sort of galloping sound.
Love it.
Lots of drum and bass at the beginning on this one as well, which is cool. Bit backing vocals. I think the solo is amazing. I do have some issues with his vocals at parts in the song, though, especially in the chorus. I did not like his vocals in the chorus.
Okay.
And I don't know why, because I don't mind them in any of the other songs around it. But for some reason, there was something happening, whether it was the way they were mixing with the guitars or something that wasn't quite pleasant to listen to for me.
Just doesn't resonate.
But I did say that all of that is then made up for with the solo, which I could happily listen to on repeat for days. And considering it lasts for most of the day anyway, that too many repeats. Oh, fantastic! About 7 minute long solo. It's fucking amazing.
Back in the Village. This is going to sound like an insult, but it's not meant, is it? Maiden by numbers. Standard stuff with fast-paced guitars, effective bass and drums, and Dickinson gone as high as possible when needed. It's Maiden tick boxing, but there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. Again, nothing wrong. Solid enough track. Obviously, more excellent guitar work. Again, I found myself not really on board with all of the vocals, and again, I don't really know why. That's the thing. That's the reason why I'm a greatest hits Maiden fan, and I never really got into everything. I don't know what it is about his vocals, but just sometimes it just doesn't work for me. Yeah. I do love the rest of the song. I love it. It's got a cool kind of head-banging beat to it. You know, it's a good song, but just not quite there for me. Powerslave, the penultimate track, the title track. A little bit dark at first. It's got a tone that just sits well with me. I think it's one of the strongest tracks on the album to get across the Egyptian theme that they were trying to sort of sell on this album. Yeah, it still sounds so very Maiden. It's got some complex riffs and moves at an animated pace in the latter half. Yeah, I like the bouncy kind of beat at the beginning a lot. I think it's pretty cool. Got a bit of a darker feel to the early stages of the songs, which I quite like, where the drums actually have a bit of meat to them. Often in these older albums, the drums kind of a little bit tinny. Yeah. As it progresses, though, I found it got a bit messy and confused. I felt like the slowdown that it kind of doesn't really fit that fit at all. Okay. And the solo, while it was great, it just to me sounded like. It was like in the slow part of it. So when it goes into slowdown, and then it has a slow solo that starts off, and it didn't feel to me like it was part of the song, like it was completely tacked on. And then as the solo progresses, it speeds up and it turns into kind of, like a fiery, blazing solo. And then I was fine. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm back on now. But yeah, I really struggled with that middle part of this song. Didn't really get it. If you're an Iron Maiden fan, you've probably been waiting for this one to hear what we think of this. It's Rime of the Ancient Mariner. I actually wrote the word "wahey." Wahey! What a kick-ass epic this is. One of my favourite Maiden tracks, as it really seems them flex their progressive muscles. The idea of doing a musical retelling of Samuel Taylor Coleridge's The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, the lyrics of which include some lines from the actual poem. Risky as fuck.
Yeah.
Really risky, but I think it pays off. I think this is brilliant.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I don't know if it was brilliant for me at points. That's the thing. I do know this song previously as well before listening to this album, but it didn't. I guess I was listening to it to see if it changed my opinion.
Okay,
but it didn't really. I did point out at the beginning that this is such a long song.
It is. What, 13 minutes?
13 minutes. Yeah. It is pretty cool though. There's a lot of cool stuff that happened throughout this song. I know that it's the story, and I know it was there purposely, but I did find that because of the slowdown and the spoken word into that at times it felt like a poorly fitted jigsaw. Like, all the pieces were there, but it just didn't quite click in. Not all the time. For the most part, though, like loads of guitars, loads of fucking solos, everything like that. Can get really into it.
Yep.
I did also, I did point out at the end that it didn't actually feel like 13 minutes,
which is a good sign.
When I got to the end of it, like at the beginning of it, I think fucking hell, 13 minutes. I've got 20 more fucking articles to write. But then at the end of it, it's like, what, is it over already? Oh, yeah. Which is always a good thing, when it flies by like that.
It is a good bloody sign. And that's it. That's the album. That's Powerslave by Maiden. All right, top 3 tracks.
My top 3 are Asus High, Flash of the Blade, and Lost for Words, Big Aura.
We are almost exactly the same. Asus High, Flash of the Blade, but Rime of the Ancient Mariner is my third choice. There you go. Powerslave by Maiden. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?